I would describe myself as someone who enjoys deep conversations and learning about the more intimate parts of people's lives. And I think that showcases itself in my work. I deeply enjoy taking pictures of people's faces, particularly like this much of their face. And I think visually that explores just getting really close and personal, and really just trying to get to the core of people and not necessarily just a superficial aspect of them. Yes, I have always been creative. When I was younger, I used to be in the choir and drama and plays. Still used to sing in church choir. I loved taking pictures. I loved being in pictures. I danced. What else did I do? I've always been a creative child, and I think growing up was me trying to figure out how to be creative in all aspects of my life. My earliest creative memory, I was probably like 5 or 6 or like 4, between like 4 to 6. And I remember it's like a church convention in Nigeria, and it was like a really big deal because like the church heads would be there, and it was like a whole convention. And I remember like dancing and singing, a part of a group, and like that's my earliest memory of being a creative and being in a creative atmosphere. Yeah, I don't remember the details, but I just have that like faint memory. Yeah. I think what I like about where I'm at right now is I have learned lessons that I needed to learn in creating, and now I think I want to create art that feels intimate and feels personal and doesn't necessarily just look like a pretty picture. I want to explore what it looks like to tell a person's story in a single image, essentially. And I think I am enjoying exploring what that looks like for me. I definitely see the Temi that started picking up the camera by herself in 2020. And I see those pictures and I think like, oh, that's fun. Like she's just exploring, taking pictures. There was no real like thought about like lighting and like design and color cohesion and things like that. But I think as time has gone on, I've gotten more intentional. I think that shows in the work of just like there are certain images in my portfolio that I feel are very intentional because they had a lot of thought in the planning process. They had a lot of thought in the color scheme, in the film that I chose to shoot, or if I chose to shoot digital or in studio, without studio, natural light. Like it shows the progression of Temi like having fun and then becoming more intentional. This is gonna be cheesy, but my husband inspires me a lot. It's not cheesy, but it's, like we don't like to let him know that. But I think what really drew me to him were that he had a lot of lessons that I could learn from. He was somebody that already had a lot of experience and years in the game, and there was a lot of like practical knowledge that I was missing that he had a lot of lighting knowledge. And besides the technicality of it, I think I'm really inspired by his level of devotion to learning a craft and knowing everything there is to know about the craft that he loves. And I think for me, that inspires me to do a deep dive and not necessarily take it as light. Just if I really like something, like why do I like it? How did they make that happen? What was the light setup they used? What's the equipment? What was the subject? Who was behind the camera? To like really do my homework And I think besides the technical knowledge he carried, his devotion inspired me. The feeling I have when I create is euphoria. I get to have like tunnel vision into exactly what I'm doing, and time stops. If I'm on set in studio, it doesn't really stop, but it feels like it slows down. It feels like, I would describe it to like drinking a glass of wine and how it just like unwinds you. That's how I feel when I'm creating. I just feel like every part of me is in the process, and every part of me is enjoying the process and just present. And I feel like there are not a lot of moments in life that I actually get to be present. And creating does that for me. I think the people part of creating is difficult in a few senses. As a creative, you tend to live in your head, but when you're working with other people, you have to make your vision clear, you have to communicate, and I think it's something that you never really stop learning how to communicate, because you're communicating with a lot of different people who bring a lot of different things to the table. So it's just learning how to make things clear. Sometimes it's you might care about a project more than somebody else does. Sometimes you might not care about that specific project. Sometimes it's practical stuff like contracts and negotiations and tough conversations that you have to have with people. I guess that's life. But sometimes as a creative, you just want to create. You don't necessarily want to deal with other aspects. So I think the difficult part is dealing with people, not in a negative way, just it's not holding the camera and creating, it's communicating, it's making your negotiations clear, making your vision clear, being clear in all the things that you're doing with people. Yeah. I think balance can be a myth. I think more so what for me I try to figure out and talk through is what do I want to be my focus right now, and what season. So it starts with me looking at like, what season am I in, what has worked, what hasn't, what do I want to do, and where do I want to go. Those are a lot of questions to answer, but for example, with being a professional and also being an artist, the professional part of you should really be your artist representative. So it's sometimes taking you out of it and being like, you're not talking to Temi Lawson, you're talking to Temi Lawson representing Temi Lawson. And I think that's where I'm learning to kind of balance how I'm having conversations. That can also mean saying no to certain projects. That can also mean like sometimes saying yes to projects that I may not be passionate about because, you know, you have bills and responsibilities. But ultimately going back to like, why am I doing this? What's it for? What season am I in? And prioritizing what you need in that moment. So if you're in a season of, I have to hustle and take these jobs because there's a certain goal in mind, then you're prioritizing that and having conversations with people around you like, hey, this is the space I'm in, I'm going to be really busy, it's like no fun, Temi, so understand that. And giving yourself a time period of, okay, this is how long I'm in this space and time for. And then prioritizing yourself also in, okay, I'm no longer in my hustle space, I'm not in this hustle mode, so it means saying no. It means having conversations with like, I just don't have space and time for that right now, or it's not something I'm willing to do. And speaking for yourself, getting the inner representative of yourself out to speak on your behalf. Yeah. That's a lot. I don't even know if that made sense. Yeah, I'm still figuring out balance. I think, yeah, I'm still figuring out balance. But I think what is working for me is just being like present in the like, okay, today, this is what I have to do. How much of that can I put away? How much productive hours do I have with me today? Can this wait till tomorrow? Is this a priority? Is this gonna bring me joy? Do I have to do this because of something else? Yeah.
To you.